So, corporate interests, my people, corporate interests, or the interests of people. How did Darwinism become popular? Because of slavery, ladies and gentlemen, a huge industry that exploited the black race. And so Darwin, who was absolutely a racist, and some of these psychiatrists and some of these people who purported eugenics were measuring the sizes of people's heads and deeming people less intelligent, maybe because they weren't taught to read, okay, for the express purpose of reducing them to savages. And so this whole Darwinist idea is actually a propagandist campaign to give white people the right to exalt themselves over black people. That's where your root of Darwinism actually is. And that's why the whole idea was appealing to the upper classes and got any weight to it. So that this way people could feel more superior than their fellow man. And so, how does this all affect everybody? All people, when you put on the ring of power, exalt themselves over their fellow man. All people. You don't know your own heart until you get power in your hands. You talk about the ring of power, you're talking about Tolkien and Lord of the Rings, the ring of power. If anybody's given that ring, they will be corrupted, because absolute power corrupts absolutely. And this is the heart of men. So if one man can feel superior to the other man, or can give themselves an excuse to feel superior to another man, he will indeed do so, unless somehow or another he's humbled to the ground. And that's my whole point. You see, atheists believe that they're superior. This is why they're so arrogant, because they believe that how can you believe this silly idea that actually we were created, when it's obviously natural selection. And it's pushed, almost like communism pushes, global warming and all these other crazy things, and you can believe in global warming, but there have been hoaxes foisted on the people since since the beginning. So, so here's your, and then you'll put all sorts of science behind it, but actually it's politically driven, it's propaganda driven ideas that are being foisted on the people. That's exactly what it is. And so, if you believe in creation and you believe that you're religion is just another avenue for a man to exalt himself and become better. Because the more you follow the law, the more you become arrogant towards your fellow man. We see this with priests, rabbis, pastors of churches who get too much power in their hands. They're all taking of this ring of power. Muslims who believe that they need to kill the infidel because, of course, their religion is superior to the other person. So when you say in the song imagine that there's no heaven and everybody's going to have peace in atheism, it's ridiculous, because the state of man has always been self-exaltation. Greed has always been with man, whether he was religious or not. So Darwinism, atheism, Protestantism actually were just an excuse for man to be exactly what man is. And then then you will say that, well, who is God? God has no right to commit genocide, yet the people are so corrupt. If the Creator created man and is unhappy with his creation, and this is what the story was, and he knew the real hearts of men, and they were wicked people, such as the Nazis and the communists, that stepped all over their fellow man, given the chance, and treated them like subhumans, then God knew what he was doing when he judged, now didn't he? So if anyone has the right to judge, only God does. So you can have hatred towards God for judging and think that you're not worthy to be judged. Look again at your own arrogance and tell me that all you're doing is rebelling against God. Religious people included. All people are going to line up in the battle of Armageddon, supposedly at the end, when Christ returns, against the truth of the true Creator, in their arrogance, thinking that they somehow or another deserve to live. And in the end, because they didn't look at humility, Jesus said, I am the way and the life. Many people can't accept the cross. Even religion can't accept the cross because they have to work their way in their own pride to heaven. And in this way they can exalt themselves and teach other people to exalt themselves over other men, and actually exalt themselves to God as Satan did. And Christ said, no, I am the way and the truth and life. You must humble yourself and understand that the only way your sorry rear end can get into heaven is through my blood. And people can't accept that. So, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why God judges the earth is because of man's pride. It was all happened in the garden. When they ate of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, they ate of the fruit of power and pride. Their own pride. And so, if you look at Christianity as a silly religion and you look at the history of man, you'll see that it's not so silly. It might actually make a lot more sense than you think. Thank you very much. Have a great day.